Wars fans, we are about to have another OCS playoff game. This time it is going to be against Chris Wirfs and Chris Gogolen. Okay, looks like both players are ready. Sorry, let me just do that. And we are live. So Wirfs has decided to play Ral Ops. Gogolen is playing Diplo. Hopefully, I don't have to contend with a whole Chris thing again. But we got these two giants of the community. Okay. Oh, it looks like Wirfs has decided to play his ROPS from Continentals. He has started the quad drive yards. I am your father, and he's looking to see what his last effect is going to be. He starts Crush the Bear Rebellion. Gogolen decides to play Strike Planning. I must be allowed to speak. And let's see, squadron assignments. Okay, so with the squadron assignments, we might see Gogolen go with the play General Calrissian and then go fetch out like the Falcon. That way he can move to Alderaan and then move back in the same move phase. It's a really quick flip because he can do that. Again, if anybody is familiar with the list that Wirfs had played at Continentals, it's a very mains-centric ROPS where he swaps out invaders a lot. It's really easy. I want to say he played like at least 287 invaders at Continentals in the feature match that we had him in. So I want to thank everybody who's watching tonight. Got a few people on Twitch. Got 3 people currently watching on GEMP. So both players got out there. Grabber, Gogolen, or we're starting out with the Spaceport Street. Gets his Mustafar. And probably going to see him grab the site. Okay. Okay. And Gogolen, just pointing it out, decided to go with the R2 D2 start. So it's pretty good against ROPS. He gets an extra icon no matter where. So we could actually see the Falcon pick up R2, fly to Alderaan, and then fly over to Ralatiers to make it a battleground. Okay. Wow, Wirfs has a lot of activation early. He has the Mustafar system, the site, 2 of his Ralatier sites. That's a pretty good turn 1, but it looks like he also just drew a few cards to end his turn, starting up with Gogolen's turn here in a second. But Gogolen does go out and grab General Calrissian, and he also grabs Mon Mothma. So we're going to see him get a lot of his activation out early as well. But again, we're going to be doing that quick transport off the plans here. Okay, he activates. The only thing to stop this early flip is if the Falcon is in the force pile. And he's looking for, or Alderaan. So, see what he grabs here. Most likely it's going to be an Alderaan again, unless the Alderaan is in his force pile. Oh, he grabs the Moss Eisley. Okay. So that right there tells me that the Alderaan is either in his hand or in his force pile. Plays center on Mon Mothma, so we'll probably see a Chandrila pull here in a second. Okay, so he did have the Alderaan in his hand. Okay, that's good for Gogolen. Sorry. Worked in dust today at work. So not only did he grab the Mos Eisley, but he also grabbed the Moisture Farm with I Must Be Allowed to Speak. So both players are starting out with a lot of their activation. Matter of fact, both players currently have 16 or generating 16 force. So again, let's see if Gogolen was able to find the Falcon so he could start with the moving around and getting the plans over to Alderaan. Again, Gogolen pointing out in the chat that activation won't be a problem. Gogolen drops Hera to the Tantive. So I don't think we're going to see the Falcon. But with Tatooine, he will be able to move for free away from Tatooine. So I want to say General Calrissian is -2. The Falcon's is 4, I believe. So that's 6. So yeah, we won't see the Falcon. But he does move over to Chandrilla. Okay. So he's got a nice little space for force there. I'm a little surprised myself that he moved the Tantive just because he can. Well, he actually can't lose with the objective because they are the. Unfortunately, that's the combo, the C3PO and R2D2 combo. To be honest, Anthony, I'm not too sure on the ROPS, but again, this is a Wirfs ROPS. So I wouldn't say it's a normal ROPS. I know Bastion played ROPS against Ryan Searson and won that matchup. So, but I think we've seen a few ROPS. Okay, Wirfs gets out his docking bay. So again, activation is not a problem for either of our players, either Chris. In our second Chris squared match. Okay. And Wirfs gets out Darth Vader, the Emperor's Enforcer. And he gets the saber out as well, using I Am Your Father. Pretty sure this is just more than just a little Wirfs. And he uses Force Push to grab a card. A little surprised he didn't play the Force Push first, so he could have 6 more cards to look at, but this is Wirfs. He made the OCS. I'm not going to question him. But I will say, I know at Continentals, I believe he won with this deck. I cannot recall the matchup for the life of me, but I know he won with this deck. So, and he made the top 8 with it, so it's a pretty good. It's a pretty fair deck. Yeah, I just saw that Batmouse. We'll have to fix it later. Jerry and Chris both never told me how to fix it, unless I can fix it right now. Actually, never mind. I think I can. Actually, I can fix it. Okay, so in the meantime, after trying to fix our title, Refresh. Wirfs gets out Kirkanos and Min. Yeah, I'm a little surprised myself that I'm actually able to do things and stuff. So he gets out Min and Kier. We'll probably see him grab a shield with Min. And more than likely, Vader will move over to the other Relateer's site, allowing Wirfs to flip. So, not a bad turn for Wirfs. Yep, and he grabs the secret plans. Something that's good, and relatively you want to see play against Diplo, just because Diplo does run Celebration. They normally run Young Skywalker. If there's no Dark Jedi on the field or on the table, then Young Skywalker Stearns can start retrieving, but then there's the flip for Wirfs. Wirfs then has the opportunity to take a card from his reserve deck into hand. Again, this is not knowledge that I'm aware of. Okay, look, we got 10 people currently watching the game. So, again, as of right now, we have 2 people who have made the top 8, or the top 8 for the OCS. First one being Bastion, followed by Charlie over Bastion over Ryan Searson, and Charlie over Eric Hunter. So Wirfs just consolidates over at the street and draws a few cards. Okay, and if you're not a subscriber to our channel, go ahead and click that like button to subscribe to us. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more great content, more OCS, more Chris Gogolen, more Jerry and myself. I know that we took off on Wednesday. Sorry about that. Jerry had some plans. So, and he won't allow me to do a show by myself yet. So, in the meantime, Wirfs decides to play Battle Order. And Gogolen skips over his control phase to go right into his deploy phase, grabbing a card with Diplomatic Mission to Alderaan. So, probably going to see a site here. Probably maybe the Cantina. Yeah, I think the Cantina is the only other one that he hasn't played that most Diplos normally play. Okay. Now the question is does Gogolen have the Falcon in his hand? I know he drew a few, or is it in his reserve deck? If I'm Chris Gogolen, sorry, the Diplo player, we might see a move over to the plans being delivered to Alderaan, and I'm betting that we'll see him fly over to Ralatir. And we might actually see him be able to flip Wirfs back. I mean, he's got 11 cards in his hand, 20 forced to use, and he's still thinking about what he wants to do. Jerry never lets me do anything fun. I think he's afraid that people are going to like me more than him. No, I'm joking, Jerry. Everybody likes us equally. Again, just sitting here waiting on Gogolen to do something. He's taking his time, thinking about what he wants to do this turn. I'm guessing he's got a plethora of options. Oh, here comes Ahsoka Tano from the most recent V set. Really, really good character for light side. She is a Jedi Knight. While here, she subtracts one from opponent's battle destiny draws. That's all of them. So if you draw multiples, you're subtracting one from each. During any deploy phase, a Padawan or a Sith character is at an adjacent site. She may move to that site using land speed as a regular move, immune to permanent weapons and attrition less than 5. So, being that Vader is at an adjacent site, we Gogolen could move her over, but I doubt it. But again, we're probably going to see him flip Wirfs back this turn. But Gogolen is right now just taking his time, eating up, having some clock being eaten up. I know it's a good strategy in the NFL, but not so good in Star Wars. So he drops down Solo as well. Interesting. And Leia Organa to Tatooine. And I mean, that's smart, being that he can pull a card with I must be allowed to speak from the use pile. I mean, once Goblin gets the plans delivered, we would see him. Interesting. He throws on the right hope, but to finish what I was going on, but once we see him flip, anywhere he has a rebel of ability 3 or 4 or 3 or less, he gets a +1 to his total battle destiny. Whereas with Wirfs, with Ralatier, he gets total battle destiny is +X, where X is the number of Ralatier locations your Imperials occupy. So again, he puts the Bright Hope down, throws R2 off the Tantive onto the Bright Hope, moves the Bright Hope all over to Alderaan, and I'm guessing here is where we're going to see the Tantive move over to Ralatier, flipping Wirfs back. Gogolen is currently flipped, so we have a game of flipping. So not only does Gogolen flip with the transport of the stolen data plans, but he also got to pull a card from his reserve deck once the plans are delivered. But again, personally, the more important thing is that he flips Wirfs back. Yep. But for Wirfs, I mean the flip side is good, but the swap is what makes this deck run. Again, playing at least I knew he played 2 Vaders at Continentals. Not sure how many he's playing in the deck currently, but being able to swap a Vader and then get the Saber back is pretty nice. But we see him pay 3 to drain for 2. Goblin loses Ray and Dodge. So that's one of those battle interrupts that allow characters like Leia to sit on the field. And here comes the code clearance. So if Goblin uses a card like Jedi Levitation V to retrieve a character, he can stack it onto code clearance, and that would also reduce his retrieval by 1, at least for that interrupt. And there goes Emperor Palpatine to the Cantina. Okay. So I think Wirfs is content right now, paying to drain. I mean, Goblin's doing, I want to say, only 3 points of damage next turn with drains, but Wirfs right now is doing, I want to say, He's going to do 2 and 2, just because I have a feeling that Gogolen's going to pull his resistance shield. Okay, so moves Vader over, Kier over. And yep, and he moves the lone Min over. So Darth Vader and the Emperor's 2 guards are sitting at Ralatier, while the Emperor's sitting over at Tatooine drinking at the cantina. Just like the movies. Okay, Wirfs just decides to draw a few cards, ending his turn. And Gogolen plays weapon limit or weapon display, so he can pay 1 to retrieve Rey at the end of his turn. Worf upkeeping the garrison, and Gogolen retrieving Rey at the end of Worf's turn. Okay, so we have Gogolen going. I want to say that if Gogolen doesn't go down to the cantina, we're probably going to see him, I would say, at least come down with his ultimatum shield. But he's making Worfs lose too. Worfs losing Grand Admiral Thrawn V and the Phantom Menace off of his reserve, or he loses Thrawn from the use pile and Phantom Menace off the reserve deck. Maybe I don't remember if Worfs played the Phantom Menace. I want to say he did at Continentals, but if he didn't, he was probably thinking that Gogolen would play a Throne Room or maybe a Hitco. I know those East Coast guys really like Throne Room and Hitco. That's a good point, Bat Mouse. Yeah, we could see the ultimatum plus some sort of evasion. But Gogolen wants to use his objective to search no more locations in Gogolen's deck, so Worfs gets to see what's there. See what 6-card Gogolen has. But just to remind everybody, Worfs won the first game by 13, so Gogolen has to win by 14. 13 would go to first tiebreaker. I believe first tiebreaker is Lost Piles. And then first tiebreaker is Lost Piles, and then I'm not sure what happens after that. Thankfully, we have both 2 experienced players in the game. And I don't think it's just strictly dark side mains, right? It's more of it's a Wirfs Robs deck, if that makes any sense. It's pretty good, but yeah, to me, this match just screams that Gogolen is a little bit more favored than Wirfs, but both of them are very skilled players. Okay, but Gogolen is again taking his time, figuring out what he wants to do. He's already down. Compared to Wirfs, he's down by 5 minutes in clock, so. Yes, great job playing, Ryan, and making it. That first game with Bastion was really, really well. I don't know what happened in game 2, but you played really well. Proud of you. Way to represent California. Actually, it's really nice. We have a few West Coast players playing in the OCS. basically, not only is this a battle versus Wirfs and Gogolen, both being Chris's, this is an East Coast versus West Coast battle. Gogolen on the East Coast, I believe he's over in New Jersey or Eastern Pennsylvania. I honestly don't remember. But Wirfs up in Seattle. And I do know that we have, yeah, three Cali players: Gavin, Ryan, and I forget the last one, but I hear he'll be knocked out early in his game. Oh, here comes Shirut, somebody we don't normally see. I know that's a favorite card of Matt Carulli, though. So, for those who haven't seen a lot of Shirut, Shirut basically is an ability 4, power 4 character. It comes down for 4/5. If battle was just initiated here, you may peek at the top card of your reserve deck, return it, and replace it to the owner's force pile. Any reserve deck, sorry, that's light side or dark side. If just lost, may pull or retrieve bays. Once per game, you may recirculate. So, nice little card. And there we go. Uh, Gogolen has pulled his ultimatum shield, so we're probably going to see him spread a little bit. Again, he's fine having worse drain for 4. Obviously, he's not fine having worse drain for 5, but that goes to show that Batmouse was correct. He probably has some evasion in his hand, and we're probably going to see that here. No, I mean, if I'm Gogolen, I would at least bring the Bright Hope over to Tanta or to Relatier. I don't think it can make it all the way out to Mustafar, and he can't. He just moved Ahsoka and Solo. So there goes the Bright Hope over, and again, no battles from either Chris's. One Chris just wants to spread, one Chris just wants to consolidate. I know that Gogolen really wants to make sure that Wirfs stays flipped just so he can actually do some damage to him. And Wirfs, I don't know if Wirfs wants it really cares about flipping at this point. I know he was going to want to flip at some point, but right now he's got to just get in as much damage as he can, and 4 damage is pretty good. No, I'm saying from Alderaan. It can't move from Alderaan to Mustafar. Yeah. Okay, and Gogolen loses from the top of his deck. Or no, he loses from his force pile. Interesting. So he loses a Hojix, and he loses. There's the Jedi Levitation. And worse, rest for them drain at Relatier. We're training at the Cantina. There goes a Harvest. Oof. And evac control. Oof. So Wirf still has 1 shield pool, so maybe we'll see. I I'm not sure about Gogolen's list if he plays any sense or anything, but we might see Watch Your Step shield just for solo. But losing the Harvest, I don't like that he lost the Harvest early. That's a really good card in, especially in a Diplo. Evac control, kind of. I mean, let me see it. Let me just double check. Sorry. Yeah, it's the total. So evac control is really not, unless Werfs comes down with multiple destinies, which the only one that he has really right now is the Garrison. Yeah, I don't think I mean, losing the evac control is not that big. I just found it funny that he lost from the force pile. I mean, he knows what he has on his reserve deck, so See what Wirfs is going to do. Wirfs keeping 5 in his reserve deck. That right there screams a Darth Maul with lightsaber. But we shall see. Wow. Okay. And now Wirfs is taking his time thinking about what he wants to do. Both players having 12 card hands. Now Wirfs has the ability to go out and grab a Monarch. So Gogolen being smart about staying under 13. Wirfs probably just wants to stay with 13 or 12 as well, just in case. It's usually a good strategy. Okay, so there's the Maul. Normal timing rules, 45. I believe it's once you get time, that's it. Okay, roll barrier comes down to stop Maul from battling. See if Wirfs has an interrupt or anything. Nope, no response from Wirfs. Will he be grabbing it? Nope, no grabbing from Wirfs. Okay. But at least Maul is blocking the drain there. Yeah, I think if there's a time, if it goes to time, it's just your normal time rules. Oh, and here comes an Imperial Justice for Wirfs. Stopping cards like Hera that are pretty good against Imperials, and he stacks Colonel David John, Janus Regis, and Lord Vader. So there's the second Vader. So all 3 Imperials on the Imperial Justice. Gogolen pointing out that that would have been some good destiny for Wirfs. Again, just want to thank everybody who's watching in the stream, and everybody who's watching on GEMP. We'll have some more OCS games coming up soon. Wirfs, in the meantime, Wirfs is just following Ahsoka and following Solo. Looks like coming up tomorrow we have Silver Glenn versus Adam Toronzo, and also we have Tom versus Gavin tomorrow as well. Oof. And Wirfs goes over the 12, keeping 1. And again, because he deployed a character, Gogolen is able to retrieve. So he's going to retrieve. He retrieves the evac control with his weapons display. So weapons display is putting in some work, but oof, Wirfs has the imbalance and Kitten Strider. So with that card, Gogolen's going to have to lose a force. Oh, nope, he's got the sense. So Gogolen does have some sense. Oh, and an altar. Good old Sack Wars. So after all this, unless Gogolen has a control or another. So now Gogolen has to lose a force. After all of that, just to save himself from losing a force, he has to now he uses his sense. He loses the sense to the altar, so he loses 2 cards in that exchange, and he loses the sense to the altar, and he loses the evac control. Oof. Interesting. Good old Sack Wars. But yes, tomorrow we have two games, and then on Saturday, the long-awaited Chris Kelly versus Bat Mouse matchup. Yes. Game one was going to be it was Wirfs by 13. Okay, Wirfs has so Gogolen starts draining, and he's cancels solo game text. So no sense, no harvest, nothing, and drains from all sides. So he makes Wirfs lose two. There goes Ozzel. And okay. Ooh, Mantilian Savript. That's a good card. So unfortunately, Goglin has to pay the 3 because 3PO's not on the field. Jin to block the drain at the Cantina. No indication from Wirfs if he's playing Force Lightning. I would assume he is, being that he can pull it, and it is a Destiny 5. Up there's the General Calrissian to the farm. We'll see him pull a card with I must be allowed to speak. And again, with Wirfs not being anywhere in space, he will have to pay to drain. Most likely we'll see him at least pay 3 to drain for 2 at Routier. And playing Calrissian to the farm indicates that it doesn't need the Falcon at this point. Okay, oh, here comes Ray. Ray pulling another card from his use pile. Use pile pulls. I hear they're pretty good. Okay, so right now Gogolen is sitting after he takes a card from his use pile, sitting at 19 force in his life force. He's got 8 cards in his hand, but he seems to be putting a lot of cards on table. Interesting pick of the Diplo, just because it does tend to put a lot of cards on the table. And being that he knows he has to win by 13, haven't seen the Tatooine celebration yet, but I'm assuming we're going to see it at some point here. Just so Gogolen can start to get some of his cards back. Okay, so he's moving Leia away so she doesn't get beat down. Keeping Lando by himself. Uh-oh. Let's see, will Wirfs allow the revert? And Wirfs is a nice guy. He will allow the revert. Aw, Wirfs is such a nice guy. Yeah, and putting a Gogolen on EBO is smart. I know he played at the NPC, but again, I think he just thought about if he plays against Wirfs, who plays Robs, what would be his best chance against essentially mains Robs. And I mean, Diplo's a good deck. I mean, it's able to spread out like it needs to against this deck, but again, it just puts a lot of cards on table. Okay, so we're just getting that drain of 2 in. There goes Gold Leader and Gold 1 and Bale. Bale would have been extremely useful. Adding to the drain at Ralatier, anywhere where there's an Alderanian, which would include Ralatier and at the farm. So again, we're seeing two decks that kind of like to battle, but they're just not battling. Gogolen or Wirfs has no cards in his reserve deck, so looks like he's just going to move around. So everybody's just shuffling at this point. Okay, but Wirfs right now, again, is at plus 13, and he's got 22 cards left in his life force, 10 cards in his hand, so he's got a lot of his resources left. And being that he can swap, it's almost as if he has 6 cards that are in his lost pile, essentially in his hand. Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I mean, I'm agreeing with you there, Justin. Uh, Gogolen it seems like he's in a good spot. Uh, Being that Wirfs hasn't dropped down or shown that he has the Force Lightning, being that Gogolen most likely has the evasion. So, okay, so Wirfs now is going to space. Throws down the Conquest V to Tatooine. Unfortunately, he would. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a drain of 2, and that hurts Gogolen's chances of just say dropping it stops him from just dropping the Tatooine celebration and then moving over. So now he has to move over. It slows it down a lot, and that right there is, I think, that's the big thing for Wirfs. I mean, he could have gone to Chandrila, or he could have gone to Mustafar. Chandrila would probably be the better because I think it's a +3, or it would be a +1 there. Yeah, if you he has to have 2 Star Destroyers, so it's still a drain of 2 there, but yeah, I think that's the right move going into Tatooine, being that he can just yeah. Yeah, and you said it. Here comes Ral or Bale back into Gogolen's deck. But again, Wirfs is okay with just shuffling his guys around a little bit. And next turn, being that Maul is sitting at Mos Eisley, Shirun will, if he moves over to the Dune Sea, Maul will be able to drain for 2. So Gogolen if he has a Luke or a Chewie, could see him go after that Bale that he knows is in his use pile. But if I'm Gogolen, I want to do something for Maul. But again, his Hojix is unfortunately in his lost pile, and we know that Wirfs will be able to cancel Solo's game tech, so he won't be able to play the Hojix. But would you fight Maul if you know that your Hojix you can't use Hojix unless he has a second one? I've seen some Diplos run just a regular Hojix and then play the combo, but we'll see what he does. Okay, so he uses raise game text to draw the bottom card of his force pile, drains for 1 at Ralatier, and then he's going to drain for 1 at the farm. Oh, that's right, he has Savrit. I'm sorry. Thank you. No, he has not. Oh, so Wirfs loses the Evader Monarch. Interesting. Oh, and there goes Assidious. That's a good card. Yeah, I think Wirfs figured that Gogolen was going to be playing some sort of mains deck. Don't think he put him on Diplo at all. So we'll see what Wirfs does here. So there's the Falcon. Ooh, with a Poe. Okay, so we know that right now both players are only drawing one Destiny. Wirfs cannot draw more than two. Gogolen, if he drops another character, might be able to draw two, but being that Wirfs has Imperial Justice on the table, we'll definitely see him draw a card off of that to limit Gogolen to two. The Falcon is immune less than five, and oof, that's a good card. Menace Fades that will stop Wirfs from joining two wherever he has Vader. Ooh, and here Cassian. So again, this is right now screaming that Wirfs was gonna at least take one card off of the Imperial Justice, being that in this battle, Gogolen could cancel and get two Destiny. Okay, so there's the once per game with Shirut. Gogolen recirculates his entire use pile. Didn't grab the. So right now he's got, I want to say, Bale on top of his deck. Because he pays one, retrieves Bale. So right now Bale is on top of his reserve deck. A little surprised he hasn't done something to shuffle. Okay, that's right. Uh, wow, I should just shut up. Justin Desai should be on. Yeah, Justin should be on doing the stream right now. It's just been one of those days, or I should say, it's been one of those weeks. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the Bale, because he has to pay for the retrieval, then it goes Bale, and then he's got 10 cards on top. So yeah. Okay, just waiting on Chris or Gogolen to see what he's doing. If you're Gogolen at this point, though, I think you have to be mindful of the time. He's got 26 minutes left. Wirfs has 34. But I'm going to say that the Falcon is staying up there in space just because he's got the Mantulian Zambrith. And he's got 1, 2, 3. So he's getting +3 to his total battle destiny. Oh, nope. No battling. Interesting. But that also means that Wirfs will not be pulling his firepower shield. And Gogolen just maneuver his guys around. Solo and Rey go right. And Ahsoka goes left. Flanking. Good strategy in D&D. Not sure about Star Wars. And haven't seen a move from Shirut. Gogolen probably okay with Shirut getting hit. Yeah. And that's a good point. Yes, we could see Wirfs play an Ellis. If there is an Ellis, we might see. I think your Wirfs. If you're Wirfs, you want to get as much of a beatdown as possible. I would say maybe Vader and the two guards over to where Shirut is. And the only reason I'm thinking that is just because you want to hit Shirut, cause a bunch of overflow. Okay, so Wirfs paying to. So he drains it Relics here. And it's only going to be a 1 because Menace Fades is on the table. Gogolen loses until his maneuver from his reserve deck. Oof, that would have been nice for any kind of battle destiny. 5 off the top. I would assume, though, that Gogolen has some sort of Ellis protection, most likely, and it's a hit. I know that Diplo likes to play that, being that they have Tatooine and Tatooine locations on the field. Maybe he's playing quite a mercenary. I mean, quite a mercenary is a pretty good card. I heard Mishki calling for its banning. Okay, so here we go. Sniper Dark Strike targeting Shirut, so we know that Shirut's not going to get battled this turn. But, I mean, that would at least still be a drain of 2 at Mos Eisley. And I think if you're Wirfs, you definitely want to get as much damage in as you can. Oh, here, Second Sense. We have a Second Sense. Does Wirfs have the altar? Or a sense of his own? No, he does not. He draws a 1 for Destiny. Will he take it into hand? No. Actually, no, I don't think he can take it into hand. It's only battle and or weapon, I believe. I can't see it that way. Young Skywalker, yes, battle or weapon Destiny. So he cannot take that into hand, so no Luke for him. Okay. So, oh, I'm sorry, that was the sense from that Gogolen lost a couple turns ago to the altar. Played it with Solo, so there goes Solo's game text. And a firepower, just in case that Gogolen has some sort of dodge or actually a dodge to get out of this battle. He's only got 1 card in his force pile. So, no, it's a trap. No, actually, no, it's an outdoor location, so no. Blast the door, kid. There. But I think Justin said it best. He's probably just ready to lose some cards with Sabrith instead of taking a lot of overflow. Okay, so now Wirfs is letting some time go. Again, he's still 7 minutes up over Gogolen, but and for the match, it's looking pretty good for Wirfs. For the for the game, I still think Justin's right that Googlen has a slight advantage, being that he's spread so much. Okay, so here's the battle. First battle of the game on turn 6. He uses Shirut's game text. He looks at the top card of reserve deck. Oh, he looks at Goglin's top card, and he leaves it there. Maul swings with a 3. And a 1. Oof, swing and a miss. I hear that's a fun segment on a Wednesday show. Yeah. Hey, I gotta plug them where I can, right? Okay, swing number 2. 4. 4. And down, and just like Qui-Gon Jinn, down goes Shirut. Okay, so Shirut is forfeit 0. But again, with Sabrith, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, Wirfs does take a card off of him, Justice. He decides to take Let's see, what is he taking? Again, he's got 3 Imperials, Janus Regis, Colonel David, and Lord Vader. Takes Colonel David. Not to be confused with Colonel Sanders. Okay, and we know it doesn't look like any actions from Gogolen. And it's back on Wirfs. Here comes Battle Destiny. Battle Destiny is 4. So Wirfs is sitting at a big old 11. Now, again, Gogolen has a +3 here, so whatever he draws, his total Battle Destiny is going to be +3. Colonel Klink did not earn his colonelship. Gotta teach Batmouse everything. Okay, we're still waiting on Wirfs. He draws his Destiny and he has a chance to swap. So we'll see if he's going to go for a swap. No swap from Wirfs. So he draws, Gogolen draws a 4, which now becomes a 7. So no damage. Wow, that was a good battle for Gogolen. Oh, and he was able, and the best part is, because of Senator Mon Mothma, Gogolen is able to take the Rebel Barrier into his hand. So, very, very good battle for Gogolen. Okay, so we'll see what Wirfs decides to do next. I mean, probably going to see him move at least, I'd say maybe move the Vader over in front of Solo and Rey. That way he can cancel Solo's game text if Gogolen does come down. Well, if Gogolen does battle, I mean, that would only be a battle destiny of 1. Or we might see, I don't know. I know he's got to move the Conquest. If he moves the Conquest, I'm pretty sure that we're going to see Gogolen play the Tatooine Celebration. I want to assume that he's got it in his hand at this point. Yeah, Wirfs does like this deck, but again, he advertised it playing it at Continentals. He plays it a lot on Camp, so personally, I would love to see Wirfs win because he's such a nice guy. But I think I picked Gogolen to win this match. Okay, so Wirfs just moves all of his guys in front of Solo and Rey. And wait to see if he does anything else. Still got 13 cards to play with in his force pile. That Falcon's looking pretty good. Okay, so there goes the Stormtrooper garrison. Shuttles down the Grand Inquisitor. I think he realizes that Gogolen is all out of space at this point, and that he can have the Conquest do its thing. I mean, he does get a Destiny Quest of the Quat Drive Yards, so it's not totally defenseless, but and I'm going to assume that he's got more ships. Wirfs has more ships. It's obvious. Okay, and Jin leaves the cantina. Interesting. Maybe he's a little bit fearful of that forced lightning. And there goes the conquest. Okay, so Gogolen not retrieving with weapons display. But he did cause he did cause the conquest to move, which is pretty good for him, being that again he could probably drop the Tatooine celebration this turn if he gets another guy down to Tatooine. I mean, he could break Jin's cover and cause a battle there. But that's just me speaking hypothetically. Okay, so he saves 4 cards in his reserve deck. He's sitting on the borderline. He's at 14 right now. He's definitely going to start either getting cards back or causing more damage, or a combination of both. But he's going to be draining here. Starts with a drain of 1 at Relatier. Wirfs loses. What will Wirfs lose? Loses the Emperor's Shuttle. Okay, so there's one of his starships. Drains for 1 at Relatier. There goes the I Have You Now. Pretty good card to lose, being that Luke hasn't been on the table yet. And 1 over at Tatooine. Okay. Oof, there goes the altar. And he's got 1 over at the system of Tatooine. So, oh, there goes a cold feet. So, Wirfs losing 4 cards this turn. Wirfs down to 14 cards as well in his life force. Okay, so Gogolen, looking at his 4 cards he's got left in his reserve deck. Love to be a fly on the wall seeing what he's got in his deck. Could see Jin breaking her cover, going up against the Grand Inquisitor and the Garrison. He would only have to draw, I want to say it's a 5, but let's check the Stormtrooper Garrison. Garrison is a forfeit of 4, so yeah, if he draws a 5, which seems pretty likely, being that he's getting +4 if he breaks the cover, that would cause both of the characters to be lost. But you still have to do something about the Emperor. Okay, up. And there's an answer against the Emperor. Obi-Wan with lightsaber coming down against the Emperor Palpatine. I think this move was made because he knows he's got pretty high destiny in his reserve deck. It doesn't look like Wirfs has an answer for Obi-Wan, but he could be thinking, no. Oh, Gogolen skips over the battle phase, goes straight to his move phase. Interesting. So, no battle against the Emperor. And he's just moving the Falcon and Solo and Ray. Interesting. I mean, if he can start winning battles, that's another way he can start retrieving cards. But again, he has 14 cards in Life Force. And, I mean, Wirfs is only doing 1 damage right now. Yeah, I don't agree with it either, but maybe that's the Gogolen move that you saw earlier. Yeah, agreed. Zuckuss coming down against the Falcon would be pretty good. That's true. Gogolen does have the barrier. Wirfs does know that. He saw it. He saw him draw that in the only battle we've had in this entire game. Diplo and Ralatier, a game that only has 1 battle. At least there's only 2 non-battlegrounds on the table. Yeah, and that's a good point. Well, we'll see. We're activating all but 2, so we could see him come down with a might be coming down with something to 2 battles or 1 battle where he's drawing multiple destinies. Okay, drain of 1 at Relatier. Again, Menace Phase is in effect. Gogolen loses from his hand. Oh, a concussion missile. Interesting. Very interesting. That's a card we haven't seen in forever. But the big thing was, there's the Zuckuss. Good call, Mike Turner. But I think you did. I think we all know what's coming down right now. Well, Google and play it. Yeah, and there's the barrier. Okay, so he's got the barrier. Why? There's no reset needed. Ah, reset's good. But, okay, so he's got the barrier. Min puts the barrier out of play. Mr. Zuckuss and Mr. can't do anything. But now it comes down to so we know that Poe and Cassie will not battle in space. Unless in the 4 cards that Gogolen has is somebody who's a pilot ability 4 or greater. Unfortunately, a lot of his good stuff is on the table. Okay, so right now it's on Wirfs. Wirfs deciding on what he wants to do, if he has any actions during Gogolen's deploy phase. Again, the next games will be tomorrow. We have 2 of them going on. The first one is at 3:45 Eastern Time. I believe that one is Tom versus Gavin. Or no, I'm sorry. That's Silver Glen versus Adam Tronzo. And then at 1, or no, at 4 Eastern, we have Tom versus Gavin. So we're going to have 2 games going on at the same time tomorrow. Game 1, it's going to be game 1 for Silver Glen and Adam. And then it's going to be game 2 versus Tom and Gavin. Gavin ended up winning game 1 by 19 force. Okay, Wirfs now looking for a card with Crush's Rebellion. There's nothing in his deck. And Gogolen verifies. It's still on Wirfs during Gogolen's deploy phase. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. During Wirfs deploy phase. Too many Chris's in this game. Should only be one. I say whoever wins between the three of these Chris's, he gets to keep the title Chris. The other two have to change their first names. Thank you, Greg Shaw. Yeah, Greg, I don't think it says on the forums. Yeah, it doesn't say on the forums who won your first game. Or are we still waiting on for game one? Okay, so Wirfs decides to battle against Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan has his saber. Let's see if he can hit the Emperor. Okay, Wirfs gets the first action. He takes a card off of him. Justice. He decides to take. Probably going to see Vader just because he can use the Vader. Yep, there's the Vader. So he takes Vader into his hand from Injustice. No battle destinies can be canceled. None can be modified, and can only draw one. Swings with the stick, draws Owen and Lars and Brew Lars for 3. He needs a 5 or higher to hit the Emperor. And he draws a 5. So the Emperor is now hit unless Wirfs has an answer. Oof. Okay, so he's got the answer of Lana to breed and sacrifice. The Emperor's forfeit is no longer 0, but he's still hit, so he's going to have to be lost after this battle. If there is any overflow, Wirfs will not have to take it. Gogolen decides to grab that card. Okay, but again, Gogolen's total battle destiny is going to be +3. So Wirfs going to be drawing his battle destiny. I'm not sure why Wirfs initiated this battle, but he draws a 3 for battle destiny. Okay, so he's sitting at a 7. I would assume that he decided to go with this battle just so he could do the swap. Grabs Grand Admiral Thrawn V, character who can draw destiny on his own and is good at a sight. So Wirfs has a power of 7. Well, we know that Lightside is going to win this battle, so Gogolen will have the opportunity to retrieve a force, which would be the concussion missile that he lost from his hand to the force train at the Relatier site. Oh, nice. Yeah, I agree. The only thing I could think of is if he wanted to get a card back with a swap, he could do that if Gogolen initiates. I mean, I don't know why Gogolen didn't initiate last turn, unless his destinies were poop. Yeah. Yeah, so Obi-Wan's going to get to stay there. This was just a bad battle. So Gogolen draws a 1. Unfortunately, that he cannot take that into hand with the game text of Luke, but he can take it in with Mon Mothma, which he does. So he has a Luke now in his hand. But he is sitting at 13 cards in his life force. Gogolen will retrieve with his objective being that he won the battle. And will probably, again, just as Justin pointed out, he will be able to lose with Savrip. No, Gogolen had to do that just so he could, so he had the ability to retrieve. But yeah, that's a good point. If Wirfs didn't draw Destiny, then well, no, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Wirfs had to draw. Gogolen had to draw just so he could retrieve one. But okay, Wirfs then moving all of his guys over from the street to the prefect's office, and Then he goes back into the cantina. Gogolen cannot go back in the cantina with Jin, being that he has no force saved. So maybe we'll see him crack Jin's immunity or crack Jin's cover, so that way he can get another +1 to the battle destiny. Maybe we'll see Luke go down onto the Falcon, so that way he can clear Wirfs out of space. These are all possibilities. But the big thing is, again, Gogolen has both players have 14 cards in their life force. Wirfs has the advantage with 9 cards in his hand. Gogolen has 5 in his hand. So again, this game is getting very close. And again, both players have so Gogolen has 17 minutes, Wirfs has 19 minutes. As Justin pointed out earlier, I don't think that we're going to be seeing players go to time. He would have had to crack Jin's immunity last turn to do that. He can't do it in the control phase. It would have to be in the deploy phase. Okay, Wirfs losing out. You are beaten from his hand to the drain at the route to your docking bay. 1 to the system. Loses. Wirfs loses an Emperor Palpatine from his used pile. Up there goes his Destiny of 6. Loses 1 and then he has a drain of 1 at the Moisture Farm. Again, Gogolen wishing that he would have had the Bail Organa on the table, so those drains would have been, at least at Raltier and the farm, would have been 2. Wirfs loses Gick from his hand to the drain. I think Wirfs at this point realizes that the Gick isn't doing him much good. It's just a dead card. Maybe unless to cancel Neighboring Leads. I don't know if Gogolen is playing Neighboring Leads, so. So again, being that Gogolen has 2 cards in his reserve deck, we're probably going to see a fight here at some point. Just looking at the 2 cards he's got in his reserve. Gogolen only has 13 cards in his life force. Actually, both players have 13. Wirfs verifying. And we're probably going to see if Gogolen does drop somebody onto the Falcon so that way he can battle with the Falcon up in space. Definitely going to see Wirfs getting another card off the Imperial Justice, which would again go into his hand. So I believe it goes to tiebreakers, which I think I posted it. I think we'd have to double check that, but I believe it goes to Lost Piles. Okay, so there is Jin's cover being broken, so that would add to any battles that Gogolen comes down with. There goes Chewie the Protector down to Tatooine. He gets to take a card from his use pile, thus putting him down to 12 cards in Life Force. But it's important because, again, if he can win some battles here, or if he can get the Tatooine Celebration out, then he would at least be able to start retrieving. He cannot play the Harvest that is in his Lost Pile, being that unless he has some sort of way of retrieving it, he's already used a solo game text to cancel Sniper Dark Strike combo from Wirfs earlier in the game. So I see Chris Kelly is now in the Twitch chat. Chris Kelly, what do you think about being that we have 3 Chris's in this game and there's more than enough Chris's in the Star Wars CCG community? I say the 3 of you, whoever makes unless Batmouse miraculously beats you, I think whoever wins between Wirfs and Gogolen, and then whoever wins between yourself and the winner of this match, fight it out to see who will be able to retain the first name Chris. The other 2 would be forced to change their first name. That is fair. That is a good point. No, I'm not saying you leave the community. I like you in the community. I'm saying that the name Chris Kelly is put up. That if you lose, you have to change your name. And Gogolen now moves the Bright Hope over. So I believe Cassian is ability 3, so that would give him enough ability. No, he's ability 2. So that does not allow him enough ability to get around Zuckuss. Okay, so Jin and Chewie move into the cantina. So again, Wirfs is only going to be doing 1 damage next turn, but again, Gogolen is at 12 in his life force. He didn't save enough for the spiral. Unless he has a way of reducing the cost of the spiral, he can't play it. There's only 1 card left in his force pile. That's a good point. Honestly, if I'm Gogolen at that point, I would have left the Bright Hope at Ralatir and then moved the Tantive over. But I don't think it actually could have made the jump. So yeah, he had to do something there. A little surprised Luke didn't come down unless he wants to save Luke for the forfeit value. Okay, Wirfs activating 10, saving 2. Interesting. Okay, so he uses Crush the Rebellion to verify to look in his deck. Gogolen has the chance to verify. And it's still in his activate phase, so he can still activate the 2 cards that he left in his reserve deck. Yeah, I think this right now is... I think this is going to be... Okay, so we're not going to see a battle in space. We're not going to see a battle on the ground. Wirfs is just going to merely saunter away, I would assume. Nope, 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 nope. He's going to be able to... Wirfs now asking Gogolen to be the nice guy and let him revert back. And both Chris is showing gentlemanship, allowing a revert. Oh, there's the Ellis protection. Gogolen plays It's a Hit to cancel the drain there, so Gogolen will not be losing any force, but he does lose It's a Hit to the grabber, so that's still a card essentially out of his life force and hand. Wirfs is sitting in a good spot, being that Gogolen has to get at least 2 more cards in his life force to be able to pull this one out. I think at this point, Wirfs doesn't care about the game. He cares about doing damage to Gogolen, so that way Gogolen will just say, okay, I've had it. I can't get any more force back. You win. But we shall see. We haven't seen Gogolen play the Tatooine Celebration. We haven't seen really any retrieval outside of the Harvest and a Jedi's Levitation. But again, I don't know what Gogolen has in his hand. He has 5 cards in his hands. Wirfs currently has 7. Personally, I'm a little confused on that Wirfs not saving at least 1 card in his reserve deck so he can battle in space. He has the power advantage. He has the Conquest, which allows him to cancel a non-immune to sense interrupt there, and he's got Zuckuss. Yes, they do, and that's what I'm saying is we haven't seen it yet. So I'm just wondering where it's at, if it's in his hand and he's waiting for it, or if it's still in his deck and he's not able to get it. He has done a lot of use pile pulls this game. He's done 3 out of the 4 that he's able to. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. He has done 4 out of the 5 that he's able to. Yeah, honestly, like I'm kind of like find it funny that Poe isn't higher ability. I mean, Wedge and Poe are essentially supposed to be the best rebel light side pilots out there, and Poe's ability 2, Wedge's ability 3, and then we have Baron's Fell, who's also ability 3. Yes, he could run the Tatooine Maul. We have seen Phantom Menace and Maul with Saber, but this is worse we're talking about. I've seen crazy. I've seen me beat Greg Shaw in the OCS. Just one game. Oh no, I agree. Fell deserves it. He's the best. He's probably the best pilot in the entire Star Wars universe. At least in the EU. But yeah, I think Poe should be at least ability 3. Personally. I mean, Wedge is pretty good too. He did survive 2 Death Stars. How many other people can say that? No. Oh, good call, Mike Turner. He's got the Tatooine Maul. Boom. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Um. Yes, we might see a flip back just because Zuckuss would have to go to Ralatier. Vader, at least one of those characters would have to go to the spaceship site or the spaceport site, and that's it. Yeah, good catch there, Justin. And I think if Wirfs can flip Gogolen back, that's going to be huge. Yeah, yeah. This would at least from what I could tell, this would probably change Gogolen's game plan at least for this turn. Okay, so there's the Vader move. Okay, here come the guards. Well, we shall see. Yeah, and that's true. He can shuffle, but even a momentary flip back is good for Wirfs. Because honestly, like I haven't played enough Diplo myself to know. I know that you have to control. You have to occupy a battleground or battleground system and a site, or if you don't control any locations, you're flipped back. I, and I think it's controlling or forget what the 0 side is. Flip is. Okay, is delivered, and you control 2 battlegrounds, a site and a system. So he does control Ralatier, at least right now, but he would still have to control a site and a system to flip back on his turn. Yeah, Gogolen has no damage. No celebration hurts, yeah. Maybe we'll see Gogolen. Oh, okay, so no flip back for Wirfs. And Gogolen still has the damage up at Relatier's system. But, I mean, he's still sitting in a decent spot, but he still has, again, he's got he needs to put 2 more cards from somewhere into his life force. Or he ain't moving on. He ain't moving on against to play Chris Kelly or Batmouse. Personally, I'd love to see Gogolen play Batmouse. Batmouse, I know I give him crap here and there just because him and I are friends, but he's a good player, and he's a good dude. He plays interesting decks, which is always fun. Personally, I'm excited to see the Batmouse versus Chris Kelly game this Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. Okay, so Gogolen drains at Routier. Wirfs loses Dark Time for the Rebellion V. Okay, Gogolen has 2 cards left in his reserve decks. He's looking. Wirfs is going to verify. Chris Kelly, if you are still there, do we know if you and Batmouse are going to be playing just 1 game, or is it going to be 2? Here comes Young Skywalker, where Gogolen is able to pull a card from his used pile, putting him down to 11 cards. Maybe he's trying to get that Tatooine celebration. But so, I know this: if Gogolen decides to battle here, which we might see, and if he wins, he does not have enough force to move Ahsoka, Rey, and Solo. Oh, okay. So he's using Rey to draw the bottom card of his force pile. So putting him even lower. Gogs, what are you thinking? You're at 10 in your life force, buddy. You need 4 cards back, but here's a battle. Yeah. Okay, so we got a battle. And moving on to, I'm assuming we're going to move on to Destinies at this point. He's got 2 cards left in his force pile, so he can retrieve by winning the battle. And he's definitely not going to move Ahsoka, Rey, and Solo. Draws a 2 for Battle Destiny. Let's see, will he take it into hand with Mon Mothma? But that 2 is now a 6. So he's got 20 in the power. Okay, he's not taking Kraken into hand with Senator Mon Mothma. Now, let's see what Wirfs draws for Destiny. Being that Wirfs is still on the 0 side, that's Gogolen just losing 1 card. Wirfs not drawing Destiny. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Wirfs loses the battle and loses the game, but wins the match because Gogolen gets under 14. He's at 11 cards. He cannot get to that magic number of 14. So Chris Wirfs advances over Chris Gogolen in a very, very, very good match. A lot of moving around, not a lot of battles, but again, just playing that chess match. Wirfs realizing that at the end, I can lose my my opponent is under, so yeah. Yeah, Gogolen realizes that if he doesn't draw with Ray, he would have had 13, and then he might have been able to put a card back to get to 14. Well, actually, if he was at 13, we would have went to lost piles, and who knows? But Wirfs is moving on. That's going to be it for tonight. Again, we have 2 matches tomorrow, and know that Tom Kelly will be streaming the one match. He'll be doing the Silver Glen and Adam Toronzo match. That's again at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1:45 for us West Coast, or sorry, 12:45 for us West Coast people. And then we have Tom and Gavin at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. for East Coast. This is Dan Torteg-Leon, D Torteg1, signing off for the night. Good night, everybody, and again, congratulations to Wirfs for advancing.